All right. The wango, the tango. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, wrong song. But we started out this special. Nah, it's not special. Well, or is it always special? I guess if we're here in front of the Black Carbon Steel microphones, the segment or the episode is always special, right, Jared?
As long as there's people listening.
As long as we're here and you're here, it's always special. But we started out this segment with our friend Ted Nugent and Motor City Madhouse because we want to spend a little bit of time or a little bit more time talking about the Motor City. That's right, Detroit, Michigan. A lot of you hip cats know that your host was born in Detroit, Michigan a few decades ago. But we've got a couple of stories. We've got a story that says there's been seven killed in 7 weeks is the story headline. And not everybody apparently is hip or down with people in Detroit, citizens of Detroit, using firearms to defend their lives and their homes. Apparently, some people that live in little ivory towers that have armed security don't think that you peasants should be allowed to use guns to defend yourself. Now, without giving I don't know, how do we do this? This is a news service or a website, somethingpost.com, and They say Detroit homeowners have fatally shot 7 intruders in the past 7 weeks. And it says on Wednesday morning in Detroit marks another in a high number of alleged self-defense killings in the city this year. And it goes on to say that a 47-year-old man on Detroit's west side opened fire on 2 teens. I love it how they refer to scumbags that are breaking into your home as teens.
So
they're just teens.
Self-defense killing, that means that they're killing the self-defense, right?
It says alleged self-defense killings. Well, apparently when you write for the blankpost.com, the hdouchenozzlepost.com, you can mix up English like that. It's titillizing.
This is a very good example of them manipulating the words.
You're manipulating the wording. And if you don't think that certain media outlets manipulate the wording to make you feel a certain way or to give a certain impression, you need to get your head out of your fanny and realize that they do. But it says a 47-year-old man in Detroit's west side opened fire on 2 teens who forcibly entered his home through a window in the early hours of Wednesday morning, according to Detroit police. The homeowner fatally shot one of the intruders. And his 19-year-old accomplice, a woman, was in the hospital in critical condition as of Wednesday morning. Now, riddle me this, Batman. Riddle me this. First, we put teens to make it seem like they're somehow these innocent little waifs that have just lost their way. But then we find out that a 19-year-old accomplice. Hey, folks, if you're 18 or 19 years old, can you vote? Yeah. Can you sign contracts? Yeah. Can you get married? Yeah. I'm sorry. If you want to do adult crimes, you do adult time. If you want to commit a crime like an adult, then you better be ready to suffer adult punishment. And if you want to be a teen that forces their way into people's homes, you're going to get shot for your efforts. It's part of the hazards of the job, and you better get used to it. So what we really find just annoying is the use of the term alleged. Well, let's see. They break into the home. They force their way into someone's home, and that person has to use a firearm to defend themselves. And according to the hdouchenozzlepost.com, that makes them alleged home invaders. Okay. So, and then we saw another one. There's actually another story that's online that says justifiable use of force or vigilantes out of control. So apparently not everybody is down with Detroit homeowners defending their lives with guns.
And this, the HJuiceNozzlePost.com story says, I don't know where they got these stats, but they usually downplay these anyway. It says, with 45 homicides this year to date, the murder rate is down 23%. So, using that knowledge just that's on this page, how are they making these people bad people?
Well, all right. Well, let's examine that for a second.
And one more thing. It says Detroit had 15 justified homicides last year. I find that hard to believe, that only 15.
Only 15? Yeah.
In one entire year, but that's beside the point.
Well, what do we know? It's been, now, this is only April. So if they're talking about how many, quote, homicides have in Detroit this year, 45s this year, we're only 1/4 of the way into the year right now. So if we're only 1/4 of the way into the year and they've already had 45, it seems like a lot to me, but what do I know? I don't know anything. But I can tell you this, that what do we know? What did the chief of police of Detroit tell the people? He told them to arm themselves. He said that it is time for the good citizens of the city of Detroit to arm themselves, to defend themselves against the criminals and scumbags and felons, rapists, murderers, robbers in the city. And he has gone on record that his department will support citizens defending themselves against criminals with firearms. Now, according to that story, with the alleged self-defense killings, if we put those together and we believe those numbers, well, what does that tell us, Jared? That if the numbers are down, if the numbers of homicides are down on record, but the number of justifiable or alleged self-defense killings are up, what does that mean? What does that translate to? Could we, in effect, say that more armed good guys equals less murder? Could we say that? Could we say that maybe, just maybe, some of the slow learners up there in Detroit, some of the slow learner scumbags, criminals, felons, rapists, recidivist criminals that have been doing it their whole entire lives, could we say maybe they're getting a clue?
Okay, this is I looked a little bit farther into the 45 homicides this year to date and basically the information that they put on this news article. And it was a press release from the City of Detroit Police Department. And it says this news story is completely wrong. They put the wrong numbers. They don't know what they're talking about. It says
the douche nozzle press doesn't know?
It says year to date, there's 45 homicides. Last year to date is 68. So that's minus 23. That's not down 23%. That's down 23 homicides. That has nothing to do with murder.
Well, homicide is homicide. But
but it could be justifiable.
I don't know. Do they include justifiable homicides?
I would assume so.
I don't know. So you mean down minus 23 is not the same thing as 23%?
It's actually down 34%. Homicide in general is down 34%. There is nothing here that is down 23%.
I was going to say maybe Common Core math is minus, if you subtract 23, then that's 23% of the number that you subtracted.
I could have been wrong. I could have been wrong here. It says violent crimes and homicides, so justifiable is not there.
They probably don't put those in there. Okay. Well, either way, so what do we know just from the basic facts that we have, regardless of the specific percentages and so forth, that to date, violent crimes and homicides in Detroit are down compared to last year? And what is the difference? What difference do we have between last year at this time and this year at this time? Well, the one big thing, and it's something that we've been talking about on Student of the Gun Radio for several months now, is that what? That the government, that the police department has come out and said, look, we don't have the ability to protect you. You have to protect yourselves.
This press release was released on April Fool's, and the top thing says, or on April 1st, it says, "This is not an April Fool's joke," and then it goes on to say the rest.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know. I saw a lot of stuff on April 1st, and I was like, "What? No, I don't believe it." You pretty much shouldn't believe anything that gets published on April 1st. But just a really cool side note. We used Motor City Madhouse as the intro song for this. And a lot of you guys that are my age, I'm going to go a little bit old school on you. Those of you that are my age, that are in your 40s and or 50s, I'm not in my 50s yet, so don't go there. But if you grew up on Ted Nugent music like I did, I grew up on Ted Nugent. I remember the old original lineup with Derek St. Holmes in Ted Nugent, back in the 78, 79, 80. I mean, dudes, I grew up in Detroit. I think I know a little bit about, what was going on with Ted Nugent. And then if you follow it, you know that Ted and Derek, that they broke up, or they parted ways, and Derek went and did solo stuff, and Ted did stuff on his own, and there was kind of like this. It's one of those rock and roll feuds that goes on. Well, many years ago, they patched things up, and I actually had the opportunity to interview Ted for an article for a magazine way back, like 12 years ago or something like that. And went and saw one of his concerts, and it was just Ted and a bass player and a drummer. And then here a couple of years ago, I had another opportunity at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, to get to see Ted again perform live. And so Ted comes out, and the bass player comes out, and the drummer comes out, and a guy in a fedora comes walking out on stage. And I'm like, no freaking way. It was Derek St. Holmes. And Derek and Ted are... if you guys didn't know this, they are reunited. They're back again. They've been touring together for the last, 3 or 4 years or so. And what's really cool, everybody knows that Ted Nugent is obviously a hunter and a gun guy. But what a lot of folks don't know is that Derek St. Holmes is also a gun guy, too. He's a shooter. And I actually got introduced to, I met Derek at the Galco booth several years ago at one of the trade shows, and he was looking for a holster. And we got to talk about holsters and so forth. Well, the long story short, and I know that I'm dragging, this isn't a gun thing, but long story short is I actually became friends with Derek, and I asked him, I sent him a text. I said, who wrote Motor City Madhouse? Was it you or was it Ted? And he sent me back and he said, no, Ted wrote the song. Because that song actually goes way back to the beginning, back when they were together. So a little bit of Motor City Madhouse trivia for you guys out there in the Student of the Gun audience. We thought you'd appreciate it. But seven dead home invaders in 7 weeks. We call that good math. And hopefully the felons in Detroit will eventually get a clue and stop breaking into people's homes and trying to victimize them and rob them. Because no, scumbags in Detroit, you don't have the right to other people's stuff. You don't have the right to force your way into their homes. Folks, for those of you at the douchenozzle.com press up there, look at when they show pictures of these neighborhoods in Detroit where these shootings are occurring, these people have bars on their doors. They have bars on their windows. When you're sitting out there in America, look at outside of your front window. Would you want to live in an area where you had to put bars on your windows and bars on your doors to keep the zombies out? Something needs to be done. And it's being done in Detroit, Michigan right now, and we applaud them for it.
What do we tell scumbags?
Your time is up. I don't know. No. What else? Tell me.
Your little catchphrase?
No, we're not going to say that on the radio.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we can't say that on the radio. Yeah, ask us in person. We'll tell
you. So moving right along. So we got some Go Team news from coming out of the Motor City up there. And unfortunately, we have to follow it up with Slave State news.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see me
now, this next story comes to us. We actually have a couple of different sources. We have ammoland.com as a source, and then we have the NewJerseyNews12.com as a source. But basically, the lead up is this is more. It's not just slave state news. This is slave state news combined with public school terrorism, psychological terrorism news. We have yet another instance of a child, and in this case, it's not a quote teen like when they want to minimalize the instance of rape or robbery or murder, and they just call the perpetrator a teen. This is actually a kid, and it's a kid who not only is suspended from school, not only is kicked out and disciplined, but this kid was put under a psychiatric and a physical evaluation. He had to undergo, now he is actually 18, he is 13 years old, not 19, and he had to undergo a physical and psychological evaluation because of the horrendous crime that he committed upon his classmates at the, what's the name of this school, Jared? Come up with the name. Oh, attends a school in Vernon, New Jersey. The Vernon School Superintendent. Okay. So
it's the School of Vagination.
Okay. So you're like, well, what did this kid do? Did he bring in a gunpowder chamber, or did he bring in a blue piece of copper or a piece of copper that's painted blue and scare everyone to death? No. What did this kid do that he needed to undergo psychological evaluation? According to the school, he was twirling a pencil like a gun. What? Yes, according to the report, this little kid, this 13-year-old, Ethan Chaplin, had put a pen cap around the back of a pencil, and it was twisting it around and twirling it like a gun. And according to the story, it says one of his fellow classmates yelled out, "He's making gun motions, send him to juvie." So the teacher, of course, reacted appropriately and sent the child to the superintendent or the principal, and they decided that this kid needed a physical and psychological evaluation. Now, folks, Jared, what do you think? Give me your thoughts.
I think that this is ridiculous. The Vernon School superintendent, Charles blah, 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 whatever. He says that school policy and the law requires him to investigate when anyone in a school feels uncomfortable or threatened by another student. Well, what if that student felt uncomfortable or threatened by the psych evaluation or the physical evaluation that he had to go through? Then what?
Oh, the accused is automatically wrong, Jared. Come on, well, you know that.
And where's this kid's parent? Why did he let this happen?
Yeah, it says this kid, all right, the administrators did not listen to his side of the story, and he underwent a 5-hour physical and psychological evaluation, which came back clean, and he's waiting to find out when he can return to school.
You know what's sad? I graduated high school in 2008, which was 6 years ago. When I was in high school, the kids, my friends, my peers, we had guns in the cars because we would go hunting before school. There were guns in the cars at school. Nobody ever got shot. There was never a school shooting at my school.
Because we know the presence of guns makes people kill people, right? Well, we all know this. If you're my age or older, especially if you lived in a rural area or even a suburban area, in the fall, not even just in the fall. In the fall, everybody had the guys, 15, 16, well, not 15 because you didn't have a car then, but 16, 17, 18-year-olds. We had shotguns in our cars. The truck I drove to high school when I was a senior, always had either shotgun shells in the glove compartment or 22 ammunition, rimfire ammunition rolling around on the floor or, in the in the vents on the dashboard or whatever. Or I can't even imagine how we've devolved to this state where And how is it that we've evolved? And, forget the Paul, you lived in a wild, crazy time in America back in the 80s when kids used to take guns to school in their cars, but never was there a shooting. What? Now, how's that work? I don't know. But forget about all that. How is it, and forget about kids, and forget about the behavior of teenagers and kids. How is it that we've gotten to a point in our nation where adults, college-educated adults, think that it's okay to go, like, when I say off the deep end, that undercuts it, like full freaking crazy, insane vagination, full-on capital V, pink sparklies on it, and send a kid to a psycho evaluation because he was twirling. Another kid accused him of twirling a pencil like a gun. What does that even mean? What does that even? So what? Are you kidding? Are you insane? We've gotten to the point where these bullies, these adult bullies, Mr. Superintendent, don't give me some crap about, we have to investigate everything. If anyone feels uncomfortable. And that, ladies and gentlemen, right there, that's part of it, is if anyone feels uncomfortable. So who told you that it was your right as an American to never feel uncomfortable?
They want to take a training time out because they feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Training time out. I'm feeling uncomfortable. What? What are you talking about? And folks, I'm sorry, Jared. I'm almost right there where I'm going to start hurting people's feelings. Should I stop myself?
No.
This is going to make some of you uncomfortable. And you know what? Tango Sierra. Why is it that school superintendents and teachers and what have you, why is it that they feel they don't even hesitate to psychologically terrorize your children? And I'm sorry, but physical, they took this kid away. They drew blood on this kid. Are you kidding me? Look yourself in the mirror, moms and dads. If you found out that your school took your kid and ran him through a 5-hour psychological, and I can't find in here, Jared, see if you can find in here that whether or not the parents agreed to this evaluation.
No, I looked for that and I couldn't find it.
I can't. Yeah, and we saw the story, and the father was just beside himself and says that they went too far and blah 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 blah. But I can't even fathom, because a kid was twirling a pencil, that you think that it's okay to draw a kid's blood, to take a minor and force him to undergo psychiatric evaluation? Are you kidding me? Why is it that adults think this is okay? Jared, do you have any opinions as to why adults think this is okay?
No.
I have a couple opinions.
I have. Go ahead with yours.
All right. Well, number one, I believe that we have a sickness in the United States of America right now. We have this sickness that is infecting the minds of adults, of these liberal, do-gooder, social elitists, people that believe that you, as a parent, are too stupid to raise your kids properly, but the state knows how to do it better than you. And why do they think they can get away with this? Folks, if they didn't think they could get away with it and be held harmless, they wouldn't do it. They're doing it because they think that they now, because of what's going on in this nation, from the top down, they believe that they have the tacit authority or the understood authority to do this, and that they're not going to be held accountable, and that big deal, I do what I want, I work for the state. Why is it that we have people that are working for the state, the government, the city, the county, that feel that somehow that they are above the law, that they are somehow untouchable? I can't even imagine that even in the People's Republic of New Jersey, as screwed up as it is, that you can take a minor without parental consent. Maybe you can. You guys tell me. You guys that are still crazy enough to live in New Jersey, tell me. Can the state take a minor without their parents' consent and do physical examinations on them? Can they take their blood? Can they make them undergo a psychiatric evaluation without a parent's consent? Tell me. Do you have any rights over what your kids can and can't do? Or what can and cannot be done to your children? Or have you just surrendered all those rights to the state? Tell me. I don't know. What do you think?
I was my opinion on the matter was just that there was a lack of judicial force being used by the parents and
judicious force. Apparently, they've run out of bayonets in New Jersey. I'm guessing that they're forbidden that the peasants are forbidden to own bayonets in New Jersey. Ergo, that is part of the problem.
It's ridiculous. Reading this stuff makes me not happy.
You have to duct tape your head together to keep it from exploding.
Yeah.
Hey, where are we at on time right there, studio engineer / producer?
About 26 minutes.
Okay, then we got plenty of time to talk about what we did last night. What we did last night is Jared and I went out to the range. We got there in the afternoon so we could do some daytime shooting, and we took out our AKs. We have actually we had 3 guns from Century Arms International. We had one of the original Wassers, one of the original 7.62 Wassers, and then we had 2 of the new C39 made in the USA guns from Century. The C39 pistol, the standard size pistol, and then the C39 micro pistol. Both of those are 7.62 by 39. They have machined receivers. And we took them out. And even though now the pistols and the guns are fully functional as they come from the factory. No, don't get me. There's nothing wrong with them. They work just fine. However, being Americans, what do we like to do with our stuff? We like to modify our stuff and customize our stuff and add things to our guns and stuff. So that's what we did. We actually we got on the Brownells.com, Brownells catalog there, and ordered some parts. We ordered some parts. Brownells has replacement pistol grips. They have new pistol grips from companies like US Palm and from Magpul. They have muzzle devices. Let's face it, when you're making a firearm, you want to make it in the most economical way possible. At least most factory guns are made economically. And so they don't use the most expensive muzzle brake because why? Because if they did that, they'd have to raise the price. So they just use a basic version. Well, what we did is we got a couple of AK muzzle brakes, direct screw-on muzzle brakes from the Brownells catalog. Some US Palm magazines. These are polymer magazines, but the locking notch, the locking tab is actually made of steel, not plastic, so it's not going to wear down on you. Really good magazines. A really cool item, and Jared, go ahead and talk to the folks for a second. Say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks. I'm going to talk to you for a second. I had a lot of fun last night. That was the first time I actually got to shoot my new car pistol with XS sights. I sent it to XS. They put a big dot sight on it for me, and I got to shoot it last night. It was pretty awesome.
No, the reason I had Jared vamp for a little bit right there is because I needed to reach over and find the exact piece of paper with the exact verbiage on it. It's called Echo 93, a company called Echo 93 from Dallas, Texas. They make a single-point sling adapter for an AK, for a Kalashnikov rifle, that you can basically you take the pistol grip off, you put the single-point sling adapter on it, reinstall your pistol grip, and you're good to go. You don't have to drill anything into your stock, or you don't have to add anything, as far as machining. It's a really cool item, and we got it from the Brownells catalog. If you go to Brownells.com and just type in AK accessories or AK-47, you can find a lot of really good stuff, because we know a lot of you guys out there are AK people. So anyway, we were at the range. We did some AK stuff, had a good time. We ran our Century guns. And that leads us right up into something that we were going to talk about during the first hour, but we had so much other stuff to talk about that we didn't mention it. Jared, what are we going to do for our dedicated fans of Student of the Gun, and how does it relate to Century Arms?
What are we going to do? That's a good question. We've got an awesome giveaway to do for you guys. We're giving away the Century C39 rifle. That's right, an AK, all American made AK. We're going to give away the Red Army ammo box.
An ammo,
Is that what
a
they
range
call it?
pack.
Range pack, that's what it is. And, of course, if you want to take care of the rifle that you're going to win, we have to give you some frog lube. We're going to give you a frog tube with that to provide the maintenance and lubrication of your firearm.
So that's right. I know we've been kind of teasing you guys with this, and we appreciate your patience while we teased you, but we needed to make sure that we had all the parts together before we announced it. But congratulations, students of the gun. We now have, we're offering a C39 made in the USA, 100% made in the USA AK rifle with a machined receiver from Century Arms. Also a range pack, because what good is a gun without ammo, right? A range pack of 7.62 by 39 Red Army ammo, and a Frog Tube all-purpose cleaning kit from Frog Lube.
Do you want to give them a shirt to wear at the range while they're shooting their rifle?
I don't know. Do we?
A student of the gun shirt?
Sure.
I mean, we can, since I asked you in front of everybody.
Okay,
I guess.
since you put me on the spot,
I did that on
sure.
purpose. I pressured him into that one.
All right, Jared just pressured me into adding a official Student of the Gun T-shirt to the contest. Now, Jared, tell the folks at home in the studio, or not in the studio audience, in the home audience, tell the folks how they can qualify to win all this cool stuff for free.
Well, if you are signed up for our newsletter, then you are already qualified, and you can earn some bonus entries by following all of our social media. And I've got a list of social media that Student of the Gun is on the top of studentofthegun.com. So go there and click on those and follow them. And if you're not subscribed to the newsletter yet, shame on you. And you can do that by going to join.studentofthegun.com. And it'll take you to a page where there's a sign-up form, and it's got all of our previous giveaways and the current giveaways. So you can check out kind of some of the cool stuff that we've given away before, as well as see the exact details of this current one that we have with Century Arms and Frog Lube.
Yeah, and of course, one of the reasons that we're talking about Century Arms is because they are the official sponsor of the Student of the Gun mobile app. And if you don't have the mobile app yet, again, shame on you. But you can get it if you have an Android-type device. You just go to the Google Play Store. You can download it for free. And if you have an iDevice, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, you can go to the Apple Store, to the iTunes Store, and you can download the mobile app for free. And that's because of our good friends at Century Arms International.
So in closing, go to studentofthegun.com, sign up for the newsletter, follow Student of the Gun on all social media, and you could be entered to win, or you are entered to win, the Century C39, the range pack ammo, which is what, 200 rounds?
It's like 180 rounds.
180 rounds.
It's like 9 boxes of 20.
Well, let's figure out how much that's. That's like 100. Let's see. That's $90 of ammo.
Yeah, at least, especially
least.
since what's going on in Ukraine right now. The prices of 7.62. We've seen them jump like $2-3 a box. It was like $5 something a box, and what we were out last week, and we saw it was $7.99 a box of 20. So the price is jumping up a little bit because of that. And and if you're not an AK guy or you're not an AK person, and you haven't checked one out, just go to YouTube and type in Century C39 or made in the USA AK. You'll be impressed. You'll be impressed. We've been impressed. We're actually pleasantly surprised at how well built this gun is.
The magazines kind of fit it right in there.
Oh, dude,
it's not like a regular AK.
Yeah, exactly. If you have experience with machine or roll stamped receivers, AKs, and you know how a lot of them are kind of hinky, and the magazines don't always fit perfectly, and if they're polymer magazines like the U.S. Palm ones, sometimes they're real tight and they don't fit. Ladies and gentlemen, the machined receivers on these AKs, the Century AKs, it's like it sucks the magazine up into it. You'll be amazed.
I was shooting the Wasser last night when we were doing the night shoot, and I had to do a reload, and I was trying to stick the other magazine in there, and I was like, should this be easier?
Yeah, because he didn't have the C39 in his hand. He's like, oh, what happened?
I was so used to that.
Anyway, so check that out, and do we want to give them the advisory about if you sign up and then go in the next day and unsubscribe, you're not still eligible?
Nah, Don't worry about it.
They should know.
They should know by now.
Yeah, they should know by now. They should be hip. Okay, next story, and we're going to get into this one. Texas congressman introduces bill allowing military to carry concealed on base. And on the face of it, this sounds like a really good idea. You know, we did our special edition about Fort Hood and the definition of insanity. And so a Texas congressman, this comes to us from gunsavelives.net, has proposed a bill to allow military personnel to carry while they are on base. But here's the thing. It's a federal installation. It's run by the U.S. military and the Department of Defense. It doesn't matter if the state of Texas says it's okay, because the base commanders can still override it. The Department of Defense can still override it. And when you have hard-headed people, when you have slow learners, when you have career officers that are more worried and more concerned about protecting their butts and their careers than they are about protecting the lives of the soldiers under their command, it doesn't matter how many laws you pass. And I'm not trying to be a wet blanket here, but the fact is, you don't need Texas or North Carolina, or you name the place, Mississippi, Alabama. You don't need that state to pass a special law to allow soldiers, Marines, sailors, whatever, to carry firearms to protect themselves. All you need is the Department of Defense and the U.S. Army to care more about their people than they do about covering their own fat fannies. And that's what you've got going on right now. Sorry, hate to break your heart, hate to mess with your chi here, but this didn't just start. This has been going on for a long time. U.S. military personnel in the United States of America have been disarmed for decades and decades and decades. I'm not allowed to carry, because why would you want to? That's just dangerous. We can't allow soldiers to carry guns. You know how dangerous that is? I don't know. Are they freaking soldiers? If we can't trust soldiers and Marines to carry loaded firearms, what in the world good are they? Ask yourself that. All right, Jared's looking really intently at his monitor over there. I was kind of hoping he'd pick up on that pause that I just did so I could take a drink of water, but he wasn't really picking up on that. But we'll give him a pass. Maybe I need to get a little bell or something that I ring when I need to take a drink of water. But there
you go. We could get a button.
We need to get a button. Now we got some good news. I'm not gonna leave you on a down note. We're gonna leave you on an up note. And this comes to us from thestate.com, and it says a South Carolina Senate bill would extend right to lethal self-defense to pregnant women. And you're like, what? Don't pregnant women already have the right to protect themselves? Well, they do. But what it says right here, it says a Senate panel advanced a bill Thursday that would expand the state's stand your ground laws and self-defense to specify that mothers can use deadly force to protect their unborn children from harm.
So what I'm getting here is it's basically like it's disparity of force. It's kind of lightening up the disparity of force issue.
Well, that's kind of the weird situation that we're put in legally here, because, and quite frankly, folks, we don't usually talk about quote unquote stand your ground laws, because the fact is the rules of deadly force are the rules of deadly force, whether you're in your house, on the street, in a parking lot, what have you. The only thing you run into is when you have politicians, bow tie wearing politicians, that try and pass bills or change the law to force you, the victim of the attack, to somehow retreat, or to somehow prove that you attempted to retreat before you defended yourself, which is insanity in and of itself. But let's see, before we go on, let's see what a critic of this bill has to say. It says critics of the bill, including Senate Senator Brad Hutto, Hutto, for those of you who live in South Carolina and you want to know not to vote for this turd, from Orangeburg, said that under current law, mothers and everyone else have the rights and it says, have the right to use deadly force against imminent peril of great bodily harm and self-defense. But attacks against pregnant women being punched in the abdomen, example, do not warrant. Hang on, let me get this. I want to make sure that I got it right here. It says, but some attacks on pregnant women being punched in the abdomen, for example, might not rise to the level of severity that would justify a stand your ground defense, but still might. This is weird. I don't know. It's kind of weird verbiage there, but might not cause a mother to miscarry, or might. Here's the deal. Here's what we've got going on. I applaud the people in South Carolina for being concerned about the pregnant mother, but the fact is, what do we know as students of the gun? What do we know about justifiable use of force? What do you have to be able to say? That they had the ability, the opportunity, and the intent to do either to apply force or lethal force to you. And what is lethal force? Lethal force has two components, right? You know it does because a lot of you guys are graduates from the Student of the Gun Armed Living DVD. You watch that. So what is it? Lethal force is death and serious bodily harm. Now, what's serious bodily harm? Any harm that would require prolonged hospitalization, rehabilitation, or permanent disfigurement or scarring, right?
So let me give you a scenario here. Say there's a pregnant woman walking down the street, and an unarmed attacker, say a male about the same size as her, comes to attack her, and she uses lethal force, even though he was not armed.
Right. Same
size. So that's disparity of force is what she knows at the time. That disparity of force isn't really there.
Well, it is, though, because there's a male-female disparity of force.
Okay, let's say female.
Well, you got a disparity of force because you have a woman who's pregnant. Now, could you legitimately say that a woman who is, let's say, 6 months with child does not have the same physical ability to protect themselves as a person who would not be 6 months pregnant? Okay. Now, I'm not an OBGYN, and I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But we thought that was interesting, and the reason we brought it forth was because we thought it was interesting that a senator or an elected official, rather than shy away from the lethal force situation, because that's generally what you've got. You've got these career politicians, and if they can shy away from any discussion of stand your ground or justifiable self-defense or what have you, generally they will do it because they don't want to risk being on the wrong side of anything. Because why? Because they're politicians. And the reason we brought this up was because we thought it was interesting that politicians would actually come out and get in front of it and say, well, and what are they basically affirming through this whole thing? What are they saying? That life, even in the mother's womb, is still life. Ooh, we can't say that, right? Can we say that? Can in the United States of America, can you say that a pregnant woman is carrying an unborn human being inside of her body? Jared, can we say that?
Yeah, we can say that.
Are you sure we're allowed? Are you sure that they're not going to send some kind of an agency to censor us?
Well, last time I checked, allowed and able mean two different things.
Yeah. So if you want to look that and any other material up, where do you go? Well, you go to studentofthegunradio.com, and what you'll find on studentofthegunradio.com is you will find all the links to all of the stories that we talked about. And if you don't believe it, if you don't buy it, if you're not down with us, you're like, I don't believe that, or I don't think that's right, or, I read the thing, that's not what I got from it. You know what? Rock on. Go for it. You are an American. You are a student of the gun. You should be studying. You should be researching. You should be reading it on your own. That's what it's all about. Right, Jared?
Correct.
That is correct. Now, let me refer back to our show notes and make sure that we touched on everything that we wanted to touch on. We didn't remind you in the first part of this show, but make sure if you want to watch Student of the Gun TV, that you're checking out Dish Network, channel 266. That's Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern to watch Student of the Gun TV. If you are in Virginia, West Virginia, or Maryland, you can check us out on Shentel Digital Cable. That's right, on the, what channel is it? What channel is that? Alive Outdoors TV. I believe it's Alive Outdoors TV. Shame on me for not having the specific name in front of me. And, of course, always go to studentofthegun.com. Check out the archives there, the TV shows, the articles. Every week we've got articles up. We have the new shows. Yes, we are working on TV material. I know you're like, how come you guys don't have new TV and new radio and new articles all at the same time? What is wrong with you? Well, we don't have 50 people on staff. Believe it. I know you're probably thinking, hey, you guys are like, you're like the Blaze, right? You have like 50 people on staff, producers and production assistants. And no, we have me, we have Jared, we have production assistants, and then we have another production assistant. That's pretty much it. But we're working hard for you guys, and we are, believe it or not, we're shooting material. We shot material last night. Oh, what else do we do, Jared? Well, in addition to the shooting our AKs and talking about the C-39, we did night fire training. We did night shooting. And if you've never had the ability or the opportunity, I should say, to shoot at night, you might say, well, why would I want to do that? It's hard to hit your target and you can't see it and so forth. Well, you might want to do it once in a while, or at least once in your life, because what do we know? We know, according to the FBI violent crime statistics, that at very least half of all violent crimes occur during hours of darkness or in diminished light situations. So the chances are really good, at least 50-50, that if you have to protect yourself with a handgun or any gun, that the light is going to be poor or it's going to be dark. And shooting in the dark is not the same as shooting in the light. I know you're like, yo, duh, of course it is. But there are certain things when you shoot at night, and I don't mean put sunglasses on and shoot in the day. That's not the same thing. Or welder's goggles or whatever, half measures you want to take. Shooting at night, there are certain things that you realize about that situation that you can't realize when you shoot during the day. And the next article that we do on studentofthegun.com that we're going to be putting out this coming week, it's going to be all about shooting at night or in the dark and things that you don't realize until you actually do it. So you want to make sure that you're checking that out. And, of course, if you are a student of the gun and if you sign up for the electronic newsletter after the new article comes out, what do you know? Well, it goes right into your inbox. All you have to do is click on it and read it at your leisure. Now, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, we certainly appreciate you being with us this week. We certainly appreciate you indulging Jared and I for being students of the gun, for paying attention, for not being mind-numbed robots, but actually thinking for yourselves. Now, don't forget, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.